Hi, I'm Preston Williams, and welcome to another edition of Jazz Talk. Today on our show, we have with us one of the most gifted musicians in music today. This gentleman has been around for over 45 years and has worked with many greats, from the Brothers Johnson to Quincy Jones, Aretha Franklin, Earth, Wind and Fire, Lionel Richie, Brian McKnight, and Stevie Wonder, to name a few. He is a keyboardist, arranger, and producer. Please welcome to Jazz Talk, Mr. Wayne Vaughn. Sir, how are you?
Hey, Preston, happy to be here. And like I told you earlier, what am I doing here?
Hey, man, it's a blessing to have you on. Wayne, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, man, is your humble beginnings. I understand that you're from Los Angeles, California, and was researching you, man, looking at your background. I understand that your father was a mechanic and a blues guitar player, man. Tell me about that. That's incredible.
Hey, man, let me tell you. Pop's father, Julius Vaughn, who my oldest brother is named after, he was a juke joint blues guitarist. Back in the day, had a horse named, oh man, wait a minute. Oh, not Pistol. Oh, Traveler.
Okay.
His horse was named Traveler, and it was one of these, almost the way that my dad told it, on Django?
Yeah, Unchained, Django Chain. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the way that horse was to the dentist,
yeah,
that was my grandpa's horse.
Oh, wow.
And he had a real smart horse named Traveler.
Yeah.
And my dad picked up the guitar and messed around, but I always looked at Pops like, Dad, you're just messing around and da-da-da-da-da. But when John Lee Hooker died, and I heard, I had been listening to John Lee, but just for some reason, I had recorded my dad on my only CD that I ever did, because I'm usually doing other people's records. And I did one, and I was like, okay, got that out of the way. I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm not that cat to just record a bunch of stuff for myself. I do it for others, but we're in the process of doing one now. But my dad was on the recording, and he played some Bottomland, Cold-Blooded, E minor.
Oh yeah, man.
And I'm like, and I heard John Lee Hooker, and I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
Y'all sound just like, so he had that. And when we got our piano, and I was like 12 or 13, he was the best pianist in the house, but he played on all the black keys.
So Wayne, was he self-taught?
Yes, self-taught. He could play Summertime and all that, but he knew all of the Nat King Cole, Sweet Lorraine, and all the old groups like Honey Dripper and all these songs. So he would sing these songs to me when I was growing up.
Wow.
He would sing all these songs, and then later in life, I would learn where they came from, because, we stayed like 6 blocks east of Central Avenue. And they were down there at the Dunbar and all the spots down there on North Central Avenue, where all the greats, Billie Holiday, from Duke to Count, and his cousin had a house on 47th Street, one of those big old, what were those things called? They were called craftsmen's houses. But she made a boarding house, because couldn't no brothers get room and board.
Right.
Up until then. So she had a room and board house for all the jazz musicians. And that was a whole play I was supposed to write and never got around to it.
Yeah.
But Pops was definitely that cat. He got me into the music, period. And then as my brother, he's 6 years older than me. So he and his boys were into hardcore jazz. And then he brought Train's Africa Brass.
Oh yeah.
Yusef Lateef live at Peps.
Yeah.
And those 2 records changed my life.
Yeah. I was reading somewhere, man, that you also checking out some Horace Silver too. You like Horace as well.
Oh my God. Well, see, Horace Silver and Duke Pearson.
Yeah.
Those were Duke and Horace, they were the funk of the jazz for that time.
Exactly.
So Horace with the Jody Grind and
yeah, man.
Duke with Lycra 2 and all these things. Da 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 da. Oh man.
Yeah, Duke was bad.
And you know.
And you know what was interesting, man? One of the things that I found interesting is that your first instrument was not keyboards, man. You played flute for a little while.
3rd grade. Matter of fact, I still have flute right now. And one of my dearly departed young brothers just left me. He was showing me some stuff because I used to hit the high D like James Spalding on some of those old records. And Jeff Clayton, he just left us, man.
Yeah.
Was one of the, members of the Johnny and Jeffrey of the Clayton brothers. And we were going over some flute things together, man. And he fought a great fight, but man, the flute was always one of my favorite instruments. And Jeff was like, man, you can pick up your flute again, man, and just play some long tones. And but one of these days, Preston,
you got to, man. You got to pick it back up.
Here, but yeah, man, I played flute all the way through college.
Now, let me ask you a question. What made you switch to piano?
Well, after I didn't play flute for a while, one of our good friends that I'd been knowing since I was 4 years old, she was taking piano lessons from this reverend's wife over in the hood. And my mom said, well, you want to play piano? I said, yeah, I want to play piano. So they went to Go's furniture store over here in the hood, got me a spin-it upright piano. And my sister and I started playing piano, which she could really play as well. But then when I had my little sister, she's like 13 years younger than us, she stopped playing to like be surrogate mommy to the baby sister. So I kept going. And the piano was just, it was just like having an orchestra in front of you. You had the whole entire 88 note weight of, what you could hear. And that's right around the time Young Rascals came out with Grooving on a Sunday Afternoon and Walk On By and Girl from Ipanema and all of that. So as the time went on, my brother really realized, okay, you really want to play. So I'm going to bring some of my boys over. So he brought a boy over named Zero.
Okay.
Zero was an amazing, gifted piano player. So he taught me how to play Watermelon Man. That was the first jazz song that I ever learned. And then in the 9th grade, we ended up playing it for the talent show. I had like a 7-piece band and, we was wailing on Watermelon Man, but that was my thing. But I just loved the harmonic structures of the piano. So like the chords, so I learned Song from My Father and all that. Because Horace Silver, those chords just rang out to me, just so simple.
It's a simple, but it's a really catchy tune, man.
But that's the whole thing. Everything to me evolved around trying to make something memorable. Because as we used to play, like I said, Africa Brass was my first. So, I was already trying to think outside of the box. And I knew that the success or how to be, not trying to be commercial or conformist, but just to be like, sort of like in the midst of, I always said, I'll never make music for musicians. I try to make music for the layman and for the people.
Yeah.
And you make music for the musicians, you can get caught up and you probably never do whatever you wanted to do because the musician is the most critical ear that I know.
Yeah.
And you do something real hip and they go, oh man, yeah. So, nah. The last person to listen to is a musician when you're trying to do something. But you go with the people, you go with people that love music and they're the consumer of music. Because I always tell my musician friends, I say, y'all don't buy no records. So why I'm going to listen to what you say?
Right.
You're not the consumer. You're the manufacturer. You're the maker. And that's going to be a different opinion in its own self.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Horace Silver and Duke Pearson, those were the Funketeers, man. I didn't know then. But
so by the time when you were in your teens, Wayne, were you pretty much in like local bands, or did you hook up with some of your friends and you guys just played music? You know, honing your
that's what we
skills.
did. You know, we had so I had a class called guidance in the 10th grade, I guess.
Right.
Guidance one half, driver's education in the other hand. But the 10 weeks of guidance, you know, I could have been a scientist, mathematician, or a musician. So I had the choice. And when I finally decided after pondering for weeks, all right, I'm gonna go full-fledged in the musician. So when I became 16, that's when I went hog full head into being a musician as well as I could, because I wasn't classically trained. I just knew what I knew, and thank God for the little talent that I had. I was able to take lessons from different people and hone my craft like that.
Right.
But when I went to UCLA, it was strictly classical. They didn't know who Miles Davis was. If you know.
Really? Wow.
No, UCLA. If it wasn't for LACC, I probably would have quit college because they were more. I mean, we had John Barnes, we had Charles Mims, we had Michael Stanton, we had Raymond Pounds, we had Janice Marie Johnson. I mean, each one of those cats that I just named went to do from Michael Jackson to Stevie Wonder to Marvin Gaye to Patrice Rushen to Quincy Jones to Taste of Honey. You know, they're their own act.
Yeah.
That was my baby. Well, still is my baby.
Yeah.
But, you know, Janice, all these cats. And when we were like second year in college, so I'm like, yeah, well, I'm really on it. And Janice said, I'm out of here. I said, what? Where you going? Japan. Japan? You going to, you know, I'm like 19 years old. I had never flown anywhere in my life. And this baby is leaving LA going to Japan.
Wow.
And she was like 18. She's a year younger. So Janice, I mean, one thing I would say, she had more courage than me because I didn't leave town till I was 22.
Right.
And
Right.
when I left, my parents couldn't believe I was leaving town. I had never flown. We don't travel. We didn't go anywhere. LA is our life, is our home. I got the whole thing of LA. I got it from the beach to the mountains to the everything that LA has to offer. The desert.
Yeah.
It's like it's really self-contained. So I have really tried to make somewhere else my home, but everywhere that I've ever been on the planet, I can make here in LA.
Interesting, man. That's interesting. You know, one of the things that was fascinating that blew me away, actually, Wayne. How in the world? This is all right. I still think about this. How did you come out of UCLA, meet Quincy Jones, and play with the Brothers Johnson at such a young age? I mean, everything happened to you. I think what was it, 1976? Tell me about that, man. How did you make that?
Hey, well, like one of my brothers, Charles Mims, he was working for Quincy. And it's a crazy story. I had many gigs offered to me all before I graduated. And I had gone so long to get my degree. I said, I'm not leaving until I get this degree. Then I'll go on the road.
Right.
So I had just had my son. It was like in May 19th. And right before that, he was born. Something happened to Nat Adderley Jr., who was playing with the Brothers Johnson.
Yeah.
And Charles was doing orchestration and rehearsing Quincy Jones' orchestra at the time. And Quincy wanted Charles to go.
Right.
But Charles knew that wasn't his thing to be, because Brothers Johnson was definitely funky, animated. You got to be doing all this. And
Right.
we both had, I had a band called Daybreak. Charles had Subject to Change. Patrice had Red Beans and Rice.
Yeah.
And all of our bands, every musician about in those bands end up going, I call those bands the segue to go to the major leagues. If you didn't go with one of my boys, saxophone, Billy went with Johnny Guitar Watson. My trumpet player went when Rufus Shaka Khan first got like bigger than they ever been in their life, when they had to hire horns.
Yeah.
We were on the road with them. They didn't have any horns, but before that, they had gotten so big they had to have horns. Stevie, Marvin, you name it. All the cats went out there. So Charles was working with Quincy, and Charles said, Wayne, this group called the Brothers Johnson, which I had just heard the Brothers Johnson on the way driving to UCLA one morning when I'll Be Good to You first came out.
Yeah.
I'll Be Good to You was played in lunar rotation. That's once every blue moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, yeah. But nah, man, I ain't going nowhere until I get this degree. You can forget about that.
Right.
So he came back to me again. Wayne, they really want another keyboard player because something happened to Nat, and they really want it. And my boy, one of my band members from my band, Ray Brown, was out there with the brothers. So he said, Ray is out there. Man, you ought to go out there, blah, blah, blah. But I said, but I got to graduate first. And I'm on the quarter system, 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was like May. So there's no way I could get out of school before then. So he talked me into it because of the fact that I just had my baby. He said, man, you need a gig making some money to take care of this kid. And I said, okay, well, let me talk to my professor to see if I can get out. Now, all the professors that I was kicking ass in, orchestration and all that,
Right.
they were the ones to keep me back. But the class that I hated the most, music history, which at UCLA, they made you take it for 2 years. What a class you had to endure to get a degree. But as everything goes, there's a weeded out process. So if you wanted to get this degree from UCLA in the music department, you had to have your foreign language requirement, and you had to have this music history requirement, which was a 2-year course.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't like it. I didn't understand it. I mean, I understood what it was. I hated some of the stuff, because UCLA was basically there to teach musicians like me how to be a music ethnologist, when that had nothing to do what I was about. So until I guess Kenny Burrell came there,
Mm-hmm.
they had no concept of dealing with working musicians. They were only making school teachers, which I can understand. So Charles begged me, and I said, okay, let me see what I can do. And some kind of way I got out, and it was some tape of my band that Quincy said we had recorded it at 3.25, and I think it was at 7.5. Quincy had to listen to it. So when Quincy listened to my tape, it sounded like Mickey, like what was it when something go Alvin and the Chipmunks. So Quincy had to hear my tape at Alvin and the Chipmunks speed, and he said, yeah, he's cool, get him.
Oh, wow.
No, man, let me tell you something. That Quincy, he taught me a lot. It's like how to speak Q. Q could speak, our first conversation was about Stravinsky and stuff, because he knew in Liszt and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he knew that I had just come out of that environment. And I knew a little bit about it, but you know, I mean, I love Stravinsky and I love Schoenberg at the time and all that
Right.
stuff. They were more or less coming from a more modern approach to music. But Q was right there, man. We had some great conversations. He said, "All right, man, just go for it." So I never had a rehearsal with the brothers.
Really?
I left LA listening to tapes and a music songbook of the Brothers Johnson. And I left UCLA on a Friday. Saturday, I was in Maryland at University of Maryland with Bootsy, Parliament Funkadelic, Natalie Cole, Hamilton Bohannon, Brothers Johnson, 15,000 seater, out the rafter, you know, end of May, hot, crazy. And Parliament Funkadelic came out of the dressing room and they damn near scared me. I'm like, damn.
Oh, that's incredible. Man, that must have been just tremendous for you, just coming out of college and working with these guys, being exposed to these great musicians, meeting Quincy Jones. I mean, that must have been a game changer for you. Wow.
Quincy, I mean, I must say, that's why I never went back to college again and got a master's or nothing. Because, I mean, I never used what I know as a teaching thing, even though I have taught different seminar type things. And, one of these days, I'm going to have to give back some more. But I have given back something. But I would love to take, but to deal with me in a class, you would probably be in more of a master's class, because the way I deliver what I deliver, my kids always told me I speak in parables. And if you're not akin to what the parable is talking about, you don't get what I'm saying, because I don't slow down sometimes. And but so with Q, what a good guy, man. He was cool. He wasn't, and that's the thing about me dealing with musicians and stuff, because I never dealt with the baddest musicians with egos. Stevie, Quincy, Maurice, especially those, but especially like Q and Reese.
Yeah.
Those were like my, and I learned a lot from Q without even know I was learning something. And the thing I learned about with Q was listen.
Yeah, listening. And that's the same thing. That's the same thing with Miles Davis. Herbie Hancock tells that story. He said Miles was like probably the greatest listener of anybody he's ever worked with.
Yeah.
But just the stuff that you guys did was fantastic, man. I still, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of the Brothers Johnson is that little solo that you had at the beginning of Strawberry Letter 23, man. It was beautiful. Everybody still talks about that today, man.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't know who that was playing that. We had to play it live. But Q, of course, I was nowhere around when they recorded that. I was on the Blam album.
Blam, yeah.
But because that was the first record I ever had recorded on that record called Street Wave.
Yeah.
But Q, we can go record a record, then you can go perform a record. And that's what I learned too. The recording, you're in a hurry, you're doing stuff. We were on the road sometime doing stuff, and Q would be in there making records left and right. And once I got a studio of my own, I started doing the same thing. I'm like, hey, I need to do this now. You guys can go and learn this stuff later and then come and play it live on the road. Right around and then, it's when you could actually make records without going on the road.
Wow.
You could make what they call a turntable hit.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, a lot of records was made without the band. So,
yeah, man.
George and Lewis was on the records, but some of the band members weren't. But I at least got to play on Street Wave because I had a writer's credits. And it was just a jam that I used to play when we were doing sound check.
Yeah.
Doing sound check and Ricky Lawson. I mean, so I had actually started Street Wave in 76.
76. Okay.
Recorded until 78. And Ricky Lawson was still in the band. And I would jam that. And then Lewis would be jamming with us. So one day, Lewis came over to my mama's, over to the studio, what I call the studio. That room, now, if I had an autograph room, an autograph wall for that room, from people from the Commodores, from the Jacksons, from Millie Jackson, not Millie Jackson, what's it called? Betty Wright, I mean, from David Porter to Maurice White to Janice Marie to Patrice Rushen to Charles Meeks to James Bradley Jr. to, I mean, the Gerald Browns, all the cats that came through that room. And then my boy Manyongo, who's played with Stevie to Miles to Joe Zawinul to, you know.
Yeah.
When people came to LA, they either came to Manyongo's or my house. We were the hub from all the boys from Detroit, from New York to anywhere out of town. When they came here, we were ports of musicians coming into LA. And it was just, wow, man.
That's incredible, man. You know, I'm just thinking about the Brothers Johnson, Blam. That was, if I'm not mistaken, that was probably their biggest seller. That was a platinum recording. That did really well for them. 78, right?
Quincy produced in a row 4 platinum albums on the Brothers. So the Brothers, until Stomp record, they never knew not of a platinum record. And then after the last record was Stomp, and Wanda and I had just started pretty much writing, and I was getting too busy to go on the road. So I respectfully said, man, I'll share anybody you guys get my way that I approach the keyboard chair, but I'm not going to be able to go out no more. And I was sad. They were sad, but they left Quincy at about the same time. They literally told Q, well, Q, we love you, but we got this. And Quincy called me Wayne, man, you believe this? They fired me. Huh? What, Q? Who you talking about? What? The Brothers, they fired me. What? And this is right after Let's Groove and all of that. So I was still playing with them when that was going on, because that was just another record, because I had met Maurice and them after we did the Greek Theater.
1978, right?
We were in 78 because Wanda and the Emotions, they opened up for the Brothers Johnson that year of the Glam album. So Q was very hurt, as he explained it to me. He was very hurt. So he said George had asked him, write me 10 things to make a great producer. Write me 10 things on a page so I can just, because, they were still boys, and Quincy really looked at them as his baby brothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Quincy said, and Wayne, I wrote one line. I said, what's that, Q? 25 years experience.
Hey, man, I also wanted to ask you, now, I think that same year, did you start working with Lionel Richie too? Right after that, because I know you worked with Lionel and Aretha Franklin.
Lionel for a brief moment when he left the Commodores, and he made the "You Are the One," "Do You Are the," that record, and he did Saturday Night Live.
Right.
So I put a band together with Jonathan Moffett, Sugarfoot, and Charles Meeks, and Barnaby Finch, and his boys. They had the Mean Machine with David and who else? Charles Meeks was in the band, and Carlos Rios.
Mhm.
Carlos ended up playing with Lionel for a while, but we did that. Lionel and I were trying to write something together at one time, but we worked briefly. But we had been on the road with them
Right.
for a while, and Thomas McClary, the guitar player, we became boys and hung out. But I haven't seen Thomas since 1979 or 80, somewhere
Oh,
in there.
wow, man. That's definitely a long time. And you also, during that time period, I think you worked with Aretha Franklin too, didn't you?
Well, Wanda and I was working with Skip
Okay.
Scarborough.
Oh, yeah. Great writer.
So we did um, Aretha, but we did Patty first.
Right.
Then we did Aretha, then we did Chuck Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Aretha, she was a gem.
Yeah.
Hard, man.
Let me ask you a question. Initially, when you start working with these people, when you're hitting the scene and working with these big artists, are you initially like starstruck, or is it just something you get over real quickly, or you just go in there, hey, I'm confident, I can do this, I've been doing this? I mean, initially, when you meet someone like an Aretha Franklin, is it a little uncomfortable, or are you like, wow, this is Aretha Franklin?
Well, thank God for me, since I have been around a lot of cats, and I met Herbie Hancock when I was 16.
Yeah.
Met Lee Morgan when I was 16.
Oh, you met Lee Morgan?
Come on, baby, Live at the Lighthouse. That's when I first met Benny Maupin.
Wow.
And, so Benny, Lee, Harold Mayburn, Jimmy Merritt, Mickey Roker. I met Helen Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So no, it's like this. I had met all my heroes, and Aretha was bad, but those cats were singers.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. Since I was coming more from like a jazz musician thing, so Aretha Franklin or them, there was no intimidation because they were just, here's the thing. I didn't know how bad an Aretha was.
He's a
I
great
didn't
pianist.
know how bad a James Brown was. Do you know James Brown played at the 5-4 Ballroom, like 20 blocks from where I grew up? And I was like, I had one of my girls at UCLA that was a James Brown fanatic. She was telling me everything. And I was like, yeah, James Brown. I never went to see James until 1980 in London. That was when the band was homogenized, pasteurized. That was the first time I seen James Brown. I had the opportunity to see James Brown when he was gut bucket, funky, cold sweat, jumping. So I missed some of the things. And if I had known that Miles Davis and them were going sneaking to see James Brown, I might have would have gone, because see, they were already switching into funk.
Yeah.
It's why me as a musician missed like the bebop and those genres of the music, because when I got into it in Mouso, I jumped right into the cool, to like the hip stuff,
Right.
like modal music. See, a lot of cats that know changes, they can't play modal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So each thing has its strengths. So I can play some modal shit, and the musician would go like, I don't hear no chord change right there.
You got a lot of that on Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. Talk about modal, a lot.
Man, like Miles, Donald Byrd and I, we used to hang out.
Yeah.
And we went, Cecily Tyson put on an art exhibit for Miles in Santa Monica one year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all at this bebop jazz brunch. One of Quincy's managers, Peter Long. How about a name like that? Pete put on this jazz bebop he had, and George Duke, Tony Williams, Donald Byrd, Jimmy Heath, James Coburn, Ndugu. I mean, I can go on and on. I'm not stating a whole bunch of cats. But after the thing, they were saying, well, Cecily got a art exhibit for Miles. I was like, wow, I know Miles can draw because he had drew something on one of Quincy's shirts one time and did a thing. So I said, okay, I got to go. I got to at least get me one little piece.
Right.
And man, I went, Donald and I went and bidded on some art, and we got some Miles Davis original art where he signs his Miles dotted I with an eighth note.
Uh-oh.
And all I said was, hey man, one of these days this is gonna be worth some money.
Yeah. Wow, man.
So when it came to Aretha or all them cats, man, I met James Brown at a shoe store on Hollywood Boulevard one day. Me and my cousin and I, no bodyguards, no nothing, way before the bodyguard era. And James Brown pulled out a wad about that big of money buying these shoes. And we were just, man, you James Brown. Yeah. He was just a downer. Because, don't forget, James Brown, when we were coming up, you remember, I don't know if you remember, you might be a little young for this, but blue chip stamps, S&H stamps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, James Brown made up black and brown stamps.
Wow.
And these stamps, you can go to the market and you buy so much groceries and they will give you so much stamps. And you paste the stamps in a book. And then you get a book filled, you get a 2 book filled, you get 3 books filled of stamps, and you can redeem them to buy stuff, quote unquote, free.
Yeah, that was definitely a little bit before my time. That's great, man. I haven't heard that story before, Wayne.
Well, hey, you know what? The guys, some of your guys that's going to hear that, and they're going to go, wait a minute. Hey, wait. And, but yeah man, we got a lot of history, man.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Hey, man, I wanted to talk about your collaboration with my all-time favorite band and a genius, Maurice White. I know you pretty much did some incredible work with them, of course, on Let's Groove, their Raise album in 1981, because the recording they did prior to that, Faces, it didn't do as well because the band, of course, was accustomed to putting out platinum records. And Maurice said that, there was a recession going on at the time. But one of the things that I found interesting when I was reading up on him, that he really liked you, man. And he thought you sounded a lot like Larry Dunn. He said, man, you sound like Larry, the way that you play. You roll like Larry, man. And he really liked
about that. Larry Dunn is my boy. He's bad boy. I'm gonna give Larry the edge, okay? Larry, I love Larry, man. He's bad boy.
Yeah.
I'm just me, okay? I don't know what that is, but I hang on my own thing. I mean, I grew up loving Herbie Hancock, so I was trying to mimic Herbie. I never learned Herbie, but
yeah,
they say you aim for the moon and you miss, you're among the stars. So
yeah, but Wayne, I was going to say you wrote maybe like 5-6 songs, and that album did very well for them. And of course, I Want to Be With You. The band won a Grammy. But tell me about the story, man. How you put Let's Groove together, because I remember Verdine saying he thought that You're a Winner was going to probably be the hit for that. And it's like Wayne Vaughn's song, Let's Groove, man. That we still play it today, and that's an anthem. Tell me about that, man. How'd you come up with that?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, Want to Be With You is another one of those songs that I had written during the Brothers Johnson era.
Mm-hmm. And
we had been playing that at sound checks, and I would just jam it, and Ricky and different. So Want to Be With You had been written since 76, 77, 78.
Oh, wow.
And then Let's Groove. I mean, so Want to Be With You, I thought was going to be the bigger record than Let's Groove. But that was my heart. That was more composition. Let's Groove was just what it is. It was a groove, 2-bar change, 2 bars, basically, in a bridge. But Let's Groove definitely was magical in the sense that I came up with the groove, and when I went to lay the melody down, I laid the melody, and that first verse, like the rappers do, that was a freestyle.
Okay.
So we wrote the second verse. And the same thing with Wanna Be With You. We wrote the second verse, you know, because Wanda, we were going to do some things with Wanda and some legalities, but Wanda is also major writer on both those.
Yeah. He said she was the one that came up with that line in Let's Group, the 747 glide like a 747.
Exactly.
It was
No,
beautiful,
and
man.
the funniest part about that, I told Wanda when she first came up with the 747 line, I said, I don't know, honey. That's a little square. But the thing about it is, over my studio is the landing path for LAX in the hood at mom's house.
Yeah.
So we would hear 747s going over all the time. And the second engineers on that record, Rocket, they went to LAX and literally recorded a 747. So if you put some really good headphones on Let's Groove, there's actually, when that line goes over,
Yeah.
747 in the background.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but that tune came up, man, I'm gonna tell you, we were doing the Emotions Coming to My World album.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I got these tunes and Maurice getting me, we hooking up. So I got Ricky Lawson, I got Kenny Burke from Five Stair Steps, I got Paulinho da Costa, I got Marlo Henderson and Roland Batiste on guitar. And then Maurice said, hey Wayne, I'm gonna bring this keyboard player named Tennyson Stevens. He gonna play acoustic, you play Rhodes. Now, Tennyson Stevens was one of the baddest piano players I ever heard.
Really?
He could play anything, Star Spangled Banner to whatever. I mean, he was an encyclopedia of music. See, me personally, I don't play songs.
Yeah.
I write songs. But like somebody say, hey, Wayne, play something. I say, I don't know no songs. I mean, I know what songs that I like to play. You know, like
Right.
I still know some Wayne Shorter and some Miles, some Herbie, but those are not songs that people say, hey, come and play some songs, you know? So Maurice said, as we doing Coming to My World album, he said, hey, Wayne, you got any tunes for the fire? I said, yeah, Reese, I got something for the fire. I'll get you a cassette. I had 4 songs that I picked out of my collection. And today I wish I knew what that 4th song was, because it was bad. But Maurice picked 3 out of that 4. And that was My Love, Wanna Be With You, and Let's Groove.
Yeah.
And man, we got to working on that. And, you know, I learned a lot. And we were working at Hollywood Sound a lot then. And Reese had just finished The Complex. George Massenburg put that room, and I know the sound of that studio for back in that day anywhere.
Yeah.
That studio had a different sound with Massenburg's board that he had built.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that had gone into that studio. Man, I said, wow, this studio. So we had all the boys in there, Freddie, Larry, I mean, all the cats was there.
Yeah.
You know, Verdine, but Roland was the guitar player because, you know, I didn't get a chance to work with Al McKay because he had just left the band.
Right.
And we were out on the road when Faces came out because the percussionist in Brothers Johnson was really tight with Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph Johnson.
With Ralph Johnson. And then he played the Faces record for me. And then he looked at me and I said, oh, okay. He said, what do you do when the cats mess up kind of thing. And I said, I don't know, because every record that we ever heard Earth, Wind do, you know, it was the bomb.
Yeah.
And Faces, to me, because I'm
You know,
not here trying to be a critic, it was cool. It was cool to me.
you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that, Wayne? When I interviewed Maurice, interestingly enough, of all the recordings, he told me Faces was his favorite recording of everything. It was interesting. And, you know, some of the band members thought it was overproduced, but I love Faces. And, you know, they got more of a polished sound. I think after Charles Stepney, they sort of changed. My favorite period of them, of course, is All in All or Spirit on Back. I liked them when they were more jazzy fusion, Afrocentric with the kalimba and stuff, but they got more of a polished sound. But I'm telling you, your tunes, man, on that Rays recording was that had like almost like an old school Earth, Wind and Fire feel. When I first heard I Want to Be With You, I'm like, Wayne Vaughn. I said, man, this is tight. And of course, the band won a Grammy. But one of the things that I love, man, is how you continue to collaborate with him on so many Earth, Wind, and Fire albums, as well as his self-titled recording. And I guess you worked with him and remained friends with him up until the time he passed. And I think he probably worked with you and Allie Willis more than any other two people, because you guys continue writing and working with him for many years after that.
Allie was my baby too. John Lynn and Allie, that combo.
Yeah.
And last time I seen Allie was at Maurice's funeral. And the next thing I knew, she passed, you know?
Wow, so many great artists, man. Yeah, just fantastic.
Let me turn on. I see I'm getting dark here. Wait a minute.
Yeah. You can hit the light. Yeah.
I'm sitting in here. I'm down in the dungeon. And I'm down here in the dungeon for real. And I you know, when I first came down here, it was light. I hope that put a little light on the situation.
Oh yeah, that looks good. That looks real good. Yeah,
okay. But no, I'm down here because I'm down here. Matter of fact, Wendy is going to come over here, and I'm going to maybe cut a few vocals tonight on this one thing that I'm doing, because, you know, I'm not really politically motivated, but I think us as artists, we got to say something to all of this craziness going on. So,
well, let me ask you this, Wayne. With the 25 plus years or so you worked with Maurice, and he was also a good friend of yours. What do you think? What was your biggest takeaway from him working with a genius like that, a conceptualist, a visionary? What do you think you learned most working with someone like him? Because I guess it's a lot like Quincy Jones, who was also a big fan of Maurice and the band.
Yeah, well, you know, Quincy to Maurice, I look at Quincy, like I said, Stravinsky and Liszt and all this type of stuff. First conversation with Maurice was Train. You know, and he wanted to, you know, straight ahead. You know, I always had a drum set up wherever we were. He loved to play. Reese would probably, I would say, I don't know how he was with other cats, but with me, he probably was the Reese his most self. I don't know how to pronounce that more to say he wasn't himself with other people, but there was no Maurice, the Earth, Wind, and Fire Maurice. I always called him Brother Reese. I would say, Brother Reese, what's going on, boy? What you doing? We're going to do this. All right, check this out. I got something. We're going to come over here. Hey, Reese, I need you. Come over here. We're going to do this. Okay, man. I'll be there. I'll be there. And he was that kind of cool with me. So, and I have had reports of other people having other experiences with him. And I would tell the people, I say, well, man, I'm going to tell you something. He was always the same with me. And I said, when it came to any business, I said, I got the business up front. I said, hey, man, this is how it's going to go, Reese. We got to do this, this, and this. Okay, man. All right, boy. Check you in a minute. All right. So in terms of dealing with him, it was just like dealing with my big brother. I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. You had a unique relationship with him, Wayne, because you think about it, you're like the only person that I can think of that worked with him that long, that had that type of relationship. Because I'm looking at liner notes, credits, looking at the musicians, people that he worked with. You see Wayne Vaughn, Wayne Vaughn, Wayne Vaughn, Wayne Vaughn. I'm like, wow, even your daughters, Wendy, working on
yeah,
the
the
recording that he did, The Promise in 2003. Like I said, so you definitely had a special relationship with him that maybe few people didn't have. But yeah, Maurice was great, man, a genius. One of the funny things he told me when I was interviewing him, I says, man, if you were trapped on a desert island and you could only have one recording, what would it be? Before I even stopped talking, he cut me short. He said, Preston, John Coltrane of Love Supreme, man.
Whoa, Reed.
Yeah. He loves Coltrane, man. Yeah.
Hey, man. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad he went straight to that, because you know what? I don't even know what mine would be.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, just recently, I watched the documentary of the Lee Morgan thing, right?
Yeah,
And
I
I
called him
knew it was
Morgan.
out.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched it. I knew when it first came out, and all my boys that knew how much we had hung with Lee, they said, Wayne, you saw it? You saw it yet? Nah, man, I haven't seen it. You seen it, man? You seen it? Nah, I haven't seen it. One night I watched it and I saw all that stuff. And then when I saw the Lighthouse stuff,
Yeah.
it took me back to 16 years old. I was like, because
Because that
one
was like
night,
1970 or 71, wasn't it, when Lighthouse was recorded, right? 70, 71?
71, but we were hanging with him 69, 70. So 16, 17. And one night we was in the back, and Charles and I don't know who else was with us. I don't know if it was Ndugu. I don't think it was Ndugu, but somebody. But we were all standing in the back. Oh, we didn't have no money to get in. We were broke. And Pharaoh came back there. So we were talking to Pharaoh back there. And then he went to the back door, and then Rudy said, hey, Pharaoh, you want in? And then Pharaoh said, yeah. And then Pharaoh looked at us like about 4 dudes standing back there like, okay, see you, Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh looked back at us. He said, come on, y'all, and got us all in.
Oh, wow, man, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's such a great recording too. But it's funny. I had one of his band members, Billy Harper, the sax player, who was
Oh,
there
yeah,
the
I
night that
remember
he was
Billy.
killed. I had Billy on the show, and yeah, he says, man, afterwards we were chatting. He said, I heard a pop pop. He said Lee was still standing up. I didn't think anything was wrong, and then boom, he fell. But that whole thing between him and Helen, man, it was just terrible. And he was a brilliant cat. Lee was just incredible. Miles Davis loved Lee too, and as well as Woody Shaw. He said that's a trumpet player right there.
Oh my God, Woody Shaw. He's a man. Woody Shaw was another bad boy, man. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, man, I wanted to ask you about working with Stevie. I know you collaborated with Stevie Wonder too. What was it like working with him?
Man, Stevie is so doggone cool. I met Stevie when I was going to UCLA.
Yeah.
I haven't known him since 73. Then a lot of my boys played with him. And then he knows some of my people that he knows some of my people. So
Right.
I had a jazz group on Warner Brothers in Paris. And, I was doing some things and moving things around. I got more recent stuff. So I was a part on this one crazy record that we did, kind of crazy. And I needed Stevie. I said, Steveling, I need you on this harmonica solo, baby. That's all you got to do. Harmonica solo. And then he actually hollered some stupid stuff, and they cut it up and used it almost like somebody's watching you when they use Michael, right? They cut him up. And hey, I didn't know you was going to use me like that. I was just doing it for the vamp. But Stevie is now, in terms of the term genius, that's in that zone of, I mean, I told Steve, I said, man, you played this jazz tune for me one time. What was it? He said, I said, what was that, Steve? Oh, I don't know. Oh, what do you mean? I don't know. Man, he's so talented, but we know, we know, Muntaz, some of his kids and some of his cats. And when he he still got the radio station, but one of his boys that worked there, Levi Booker, who was one of the main DJs over there. And Stevie has been in and out of our lives with my life since 1973 on and off. And then Wanda and the girls, they met him. Then, matter of fact, Steve is the one told them to get with Seth Riggs, to save your voice, who was like one of the baddest vocal coaches of the late 60s, early 70s, 80s era. And I know Stevie took from him as well.
Yeah.
But man, Stevie was just one of those kind of guys, man. In terms of the word genius, now, when the first session, that's when I first learned about multi-tracking with one musician. This was in the Transcendental Meditation album. And Stevie would go play drums, then he would go play synth bass, then he would go play piano.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I was blown away, man. I was what? I was 20 years old. So I had never done a recording session in my life.
Wow.
I'm just over at the record plant, vibing the vibe, sucking it up, and just getting, something that I didn't know, that I would be living in one of these places just in about 3 years from then,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Stevie is the cat.
He definitely is a cat. You also did I guess a collaboration with Patrice Rushen too, man. What was it like working with her? I had her on the show as well.
Is like my little baby. That's like a sister,
Yeah, yeah.
Back in the day, I haven't talked to her in a while. I need to talk to her. But Patrice,
yeah,
what a talent. We did music and then we skied together.
Really?
Back in the day, skiing. Now Patrice is a cold-blooded skier. She can hit the slopes. Low G's to the ground, short. If I change my name to Jean-Claude every winter, I don't know what she called herself.
Yeah. She had that nickname, Baby Fingers. Yeah.
Hey, man, but them little baby fingers could play. Matter of fact, one of my boys from Brazil had Patrice and Greg Fillinganes do some stuff on one of his CDs. He came over. Yeah, man, I got Patrice and Greg Fillinganes. I was like, what? His name is Edge Mota.
Edge Mota. Okay.
He is T. Maya's nephew in Brazil. He wrote the song, I'm gonna rule the world, or we gonna rule the world, or something, whatever the song, but it's something about rule the world.
Yeah.
But if you look up Edge Mota, because D's sound like G in Portuguese. And this guy, man, is, you talking about a super talented, perfect pitch kind of thing of him. And the first time I went to Brazil in 98, he didn't know I was coming to Brazil. He had no idea, but he's like the Al Jarreau, Bobby McFerrin of Brazil.
Ooh.
And we got to the concert. We had been traveling 12 hours. I was pissed when we got off that plane. I was like, oh, because I already hated traveling because we traveled so much. I don't really travel. So that was really like one of the first times I had traveled since Brothers Johnson days.
Yeah.
And we got there. Okay, went to the hotel, showered up, went to the gig. And he had like a 12-piece band, one of those Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, about 10,000 seater, packed, sold out to the rafters. We standing up. So we get to one section of the groove of the night. He's really into R&B funk. He knows more about Black American music than Black Americans. Literally. And has every instrument known to man that we ever had, from 2600, Arp Odyssey, clarinet, Fender Rhodes, organs, everything this boy has. He took everybody off stage and he just sat in the middle of the stage and was doing his chest and doing this. And the first thing he did was, we can boogie down, down. So we're now going backstage to meet him later after the show.
Yeah.
But he had no idea I was in the audience. And my boy that knew him from America,
Yeah.
Vic looked at me and said, we just traveled 12 hours and this and that. And the first thing we hear from a Brazilian that we don't know is that song, Everywhere on the Planet I Have
Yeah,
Been.
man. Yeah. That's a huge hit, man. I told you when you wrote that for that band, I mean, little did they know. I mean, like Verdine was saying, he says, we still play it today. You made that song, what, 40 years ago? So it's incredible.
40 years ago, it's the same age as Wendy. We recorded it in
That's right.
80.
Wendy just had a birthday. That's right. Yeah.
She had a birthday. Well, Verdine was down here in the dungeon with me one night, and that came up. And then Verdine looked at me, and he looked at me in my eye. He said, Wayne saved our career. I said, huh? I said, huh? Wait, y'all was already Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm just some condiments on top. You guys were, I mean, I don't care if it was a Les Groove tour or whatever. I have never seen Earth, Wind, and Fire more potent than the 1978 tour.
Yeah, the All in All. You know, it's interesting you said that because Maurice said that was the band at their pinnacle best when they did the All in All recording.
That's
and he
when
said,
they had the tubes.
exactly.
Star
Exactly.
Wars. No,
Yeah.
let me tell you, even the Les Groove tour, because we went to see him playing Les Groove at the Forum here.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was great, but they couldn't compete. I said, wow, what a trip. When you go to a concert and you're your own competition.
Oh, legendary, man. I mean, back in the day, them and Funkadelic put on the best shows, man. I mean, even that show that Earth, Wind, and Fire had in '75 when Larry was attached to the piano spinning around.
I saw that show.
Yeah,
I saw from 70. Matter of fact, my band, when they did the new version of Shining Star.
Yeah.
I'm at the Hollywood Bowl checking that when Ralph was spinning around on the
drums. On the drums, exactly.
And Verdine levitated.
Right.
Well, that record hadn't come out. My band was playing the new version the next time we performed because I kept it in my head.
Right.
I didn't have a tape recorder. I heard it one time and went back home and sketched that shit out. I regurgitated it.
Wow.
It was so bad. Because Shining Star is one of my favorite of all Earth, Wind. I mean, it's like Shining Star, Yearn and Learn. See, I want to go back and get some of those old Earth, Wind tunes. Let
me tell you. You know what? For me, Wayne, I like songs like Zanzibar, New World Symphony, All About Love. You know, when they were really, doing a lot of the jazz stuff, and then of course it changed. But the band has even stated that their two best recordings are "That's the Way of the World" and "All in All." He said, "All in all, we just went to a new level." And as I said, Reese said that's the band at their pinnacle best. production, songwriting, everything was really, really tight. But I wanted to ask you a question, man. I understand that you're a pretty good chef too. When you're home, just chilling. When you and Wanda are just chilling, maybe the kids come over. What is your specialty, man? What do you like to cook? Because I hear that you're a pretty good cook, man.
Man, let me tell you, I have done probably 5 pilots for a cooking show over the years.
Really?
Yeah, I hated them all, so I haven't done it yet. And then after the Cooking Network went into like reality TV, I hate reality TV, and I know hate is a strong word, but I'm not a fan of being competitive when it comes to cooking and stuff because cooking is more of a palate thing. It's not a competition. I mean, like some people like this, some people like that, but I cook everything that I like to eat. I don't cook food that I don't like to eat. So, for instance, I tell people as I was growing up, I was a very finicky eater. When I was a kid, if I didn't have toast, bacon, eggs, preserves, and a glass of milk, if any one of those things was not available, I would cancel the whole meal. That's how finicky I was. My
Wow.
uncle would say, well, Wayne, we don't have any bacon, but we got eggs, we got toast, we got preserves, we got apricot preserves, not just preserves,
Yeah.
apricot preserves, and a glass of milk. I say, nah, I don't want no breakfast this morning. I'm cool.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
but
you definitely are finicky, man. That's
no, but here's the thing though, Preston. I learned over the years how to use the palate differently. And I think that really happened when I started traveling because I was spoiled to the point that if I didn't get what I wanted, I could cook whatever I wanted. On
mm-hmm.
the road, I was the first time subject to the whims of some short order cook or gourmet chef, quote unquote, his version of gourmet.
Yeah.
I would call back in the day gourmet. And one time the Brothers Johnson, we were in New York, we were playing Carnegie Hall, and we were staying at this hotel, a little kind of dive hotel, but it had a kitchen. And we had been gone for so long, and we were leaving New York, going to London.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't had oatmeal in so long. I went, I'm going to buy me some oatmeal. Screw this restaurants and all this. I
Yeah.
went to the store, bought oatmeal, I bought wheat bread, I bought butter, I bought cinnamon, I bought all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Came back, made simple ass oatmeal, and the band was down in my room. I mean, the band members that knew, it wasn't advertised, so whoever found out got it. But
Yeah.
basically, man, what I cook everything, quote unquote, that's good for you.
I can tell, man. You look real fit and healthy. I've seen some of your videos. You know, you and Whitney, you're working out, doing all types of stuff. You look very, very fit and in shape, man. I can tell you take care of yourself and eat well.
I try to be, I'm only in as good a shape as I can, but I tell everybody to do what they can to burn a minimum of 500 calories a day, sweating calories. Minimum of 500 calories a day sweating at some point, and you can do that within an hour and 15 minutes. And if you can't take that amount of time, then you better make time because you're going to need it because you got to get rid of your metabolic waste.
Yeah,
So
man. Exactly.
that's one thing. Then the second thing is my baby that just left me, Jeff Clayton.
Yeah.
He is the one that turned me on to the farmers markets. Because before then, I'm going to Mrs. Gucci's and all the health food stores. Mrs. Gucci is the predecessor to Whole Foods, who Amazon bought.
Yeah.
So I was always into that stuff from like 1976. So from the first time on the road on, I started that stuff then. I stopped eating pork in 76. And I just started eating beef again, but grass-fed only.
Look, man, a plant-based diet is where it's at. I always tell people 6 small meals a day. You know, I usually blast myself when I get up, man. I do a kale, blueberries, almond, flaxseed. I drink that up. But yeah, man, your health is everything.
And this is the thing, Preston. See, I did my little research because, I tried all the plant-based. The thing about it is you got to make your plant-based meat because Monsanto and all these other corporations, they got into the game of it and they're making the mass-produced veggies in these fields that they use the pesticides and Roundup and all these different things in the soil now. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
So it's like, but the thing about it is eat as clean, as healthy. I only eat wild caught fish, no farmed.
Right, no farm raised.
No farmed, nothing, no tilapia, none of that, because those are not the best nutrition. So what I'm trying to do in my life is extract the most nutrition out of what I eat. So then my energy level is up for me to keep up with all these youngsters that I got to deal with all the time. Because guess what? The older we get, the more we need that. But when the youth of America, you got time to get away with it. You can dine on a McDonald's and stuff. But I tell my kids, I said, you can make cardboard taste delicious, but it has no nutritional value.
Exactly.
So my thing is this: I cook clean. I either grill. If I do any deep frying, I use peanut oil.
Yeah.
But I do the air fried. I do the, the mainly the grilling, quick, and then like you say, the raw. I do a salad every, some raw greens and stuff. Before I got with you today, I went to the Hollywood Farmers Market, got the vine ripened tomatoes. It ain't just good enough you can get tomatoes.
Yeah.
The tomato has to be vine ripened, because if you buy a tomato at the store, it's green. They just turned it red. So when you see a red tomato at the store, it's really green.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a drag, but that's just the rules of the thing.
That's where it is, man.
Yeah. So what I do when I cook, like I got to go up there right now and cook something. I mean, Wanda got some chicken or something going on. Wendy is on her way, or we might do these vocals later. But I did a seafood etouffee with all of the New Orleans, because one of our girls is down in New Orleans, and my baby daughter and I was hiking, and she said, "Look, Dad," and she showed me the picture of the dish, and I said, "Oh my God, New Orleans! That's the only place whenever, because I got cousins and stuff down there. So when I go to New Orleans, I'm on a 3-day fast.
Yeah.
Because when I get there, all I'm gonna do is eat.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's you can't avoid that. I mean, the food is fantastic and it's
That's
so
the
rich.
best food on the planet.
It is.
Brazil has some great food. I know Italy has. I haven't been. I'm gonna go. I was supposed to go in June last year, but I will go eventually. But the different pockets of the world, it has the great food. But New Orleans, hands down.
Without question. Without question. Hey, man, I wanted to do something before I let you go. I wanted to do a little word association game. There's no right or wrong answer, man. Whatever comes to your mind. I'm going to name some musicians and just say the first thing that comes to your mind. We're going to start with number one, Thelonious Monk.
Thelonious. Wait. I saw Thelonious at Shelley's Manhole one time.
Wow.
And falling off the piano, looking up. So I called that a Thelonious moment. So,
oh man, that's incredible.
Thelonious, oh my God.
Yeah, genius, man. Genius.
I mean, of course, that would be the first thought of him and his dissonance to consonant. But Thelonious. I mean, that's the best description for him. His name.
yeah. Next name, Bud Powell.
Oh my God. Now, should I say genius? Okay, fine.
Hey, real quick, when I interviewed Maurice, he told me that Charles Stepney was a student of Bud Powell.
What?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. I never met Stepney. Wanda always tell me about going to his house and being upstairs waiting on him from practicing all these classical tunes, and just, I wish I could have met. I know we would have hit off. He
was a genius, man. And Verdine even said, had he lived, he was like neck and neck with Quincy Jones, man. He would have been just as big. Yeah, he was incredible.
He was Benjamin Wright, one of my sweet babies, from Chicago, that did Boogie Wonderland and all the Michael Jackson stuff with Q. He was doing copying for Stepney and Donny Hathaway. Benjamin Wright is, oh my God, arranger extraordinaire. And he's like another one of my brothers, another one of my Chicago boys from Greensville, Mississippi. Don't start it, because we did a 3-way conversation with Benjamin and his boy, Bobby Rush.
Yeah.
So, Stepney, I have heard the best stories from Wanda, from Reese, from Ben on, and from some of the dudes like Bernard, the bass player, and how a lot of those records, which I didn't know, on Earth, Wind, and Fire were all recorded in Chicago. Then they brought the tracks here, like the Mighty Mighties and all those tunes. Boy, that stuff was done in steps, boy. Steps.
Yeah, man.
Hey, wait a minute. They would put Earth, Wind on top of the funk that was already funk. So it's like making gumbo. You got to start with a cold-blooded roux.
Yeah.
You got to start with, so Stepney was the roux and the onion and celery and bell pepper. And then you got to add the cayenne and you got to add the thyme and oregano and get all that going.
Yeah, man. He was brilliant. He discovered Minnie Riperton too. You know, you think about the Rotary Connection and that recording she did, "Come to My Garden" with Maurice and Ramsey on it. That's a brilliant recording, man. One of her best. All right, the next name, Mccoy Tyner.
Oh! Dexterity.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been listening to McCoy because, like I told you, I've been into a Lee Morgan theme.
Yeah.
And then I'm in a Bobby Hutcherson theme.
Oh, Bobby was great. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, see, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say he was the baddest vibraphonist, but I'm gonna say he was the baddest vibraphonist. Hey, Bobby Hutcherson. I have seen Bobby Hutcherson out of his mind playing the vibes like if you were the most astute vibist in your right mind, you couldn't touch him out of his mind. Okay? So yeah, McCoy Tyner. I mean, of course, like I said, dexterity, but powerhouse, forceful. I mean, McCoy, if your piano wasn't made right, he's gonna break the legs of it.
Well, let me share a quick story with you. I have a rare TV interview from over 30 years ago, Wayne, with Freddie Hubbard and McCoy. And a reporter asked Freddie, he said, "Hey, man, you've played with a lot of different pianists. You played with Herbie Hancock, you played with McCoy." He said, "Freddie, what's the difference between these guys?" He said, "Herbie's great. He's got a nice touch and he plays synthesizer." He said, "But when it comes to the natural thing, the acoustic thing," he said, "McCoy Tyner is my man." He says, "Playing with McCoy Tyner is like playing with 3 piano players." And just the sound that he gets. But yeah, McCoy's great. Next name, Herbie Hancock.
Mentor.
Yeah.
Wait, mentor. I told Herbie one time, I said, "Herbie, I have a dream where you use that D minor 911. I said, that voicing you use, we used to mess with it, we'd play around with it. I said, that's the first chord, a whole step up on Let's Groove Tonight."
Wow.
Wait. Herbie didn't listen what I said. And then in 8 seconds, he went, "Huh?" Hey.
Oh, man.
Doom, 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 doom.
It's funny. Wow. He said the greatest song he ever wrote, man, was made Voyage, still to this day.
Hey, man. So, yeah, Herbie. But that one, I Have a Dream. That was on The Prisoner.
The Prisoner, yeah. That was like 1968 or 69 or something like that.
Yeah,
I know
that's
that
the one, baby.
Yeah.
Joe Henderson.
Oh, my gosh. Joe is great.
Gracious alive. That solo that Joe took on The Prisoner and that solo that Joe Henderson took on Red Clay.
Oh, wow.
Wait. I hadn't heard Red Clay in 10 years.
Yeah, I was just talking to Lenny White about that. That's a bad recording, man.
That is the first introduction to Lenny White that I know of.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was like, who is this dude? Lenny White. But one thing about Lenny was playing the bass drum. Because don't forget, jazz musicians don't play bass drum.
Mm-hmm.
They play cymbals, hat, a little cross and a little snare, but no bass drum.
Yeah.
Lenny was boom, 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 boom. Ah, man, with that little bitty sound, he's playing like an 18-inch bass drum.
Yeah.
And man, that record, Joe, I was driving down the street that day and Joe Henderson solo came on, and I've heard the solo like a million times. But since I hadn't heard it, I started crying.
Yeah. And Joe was a beautiful cat, man. Beautiful player. Just one of the great tenors of all time. Next name, Chick Corea.
Huh. I call Chick Corea the leprechaun.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what I call Chicky. Because don't forget, beyond Chick and Return to Forever and all that stuff, Windows.
Oh, yeah, man.
Tones for Jones Bones.
Oh, you talking about Now He Sings, Now He Sobs in that period just before that. And even with he played with my man, the trumpet player, that thing you do, Chick's tune.
Blue Mitchell.
Blue Mitchell, yeah.
Oh, listen. Chicky was, I mean, we used to go see them like Santa Monica City when they first, like Chick and Weather Report and all of them. And then right as he passed, I hadn't listened to Light as a Feather.
Yeah.
And we used to hang out with Flora and Aerto back in the day. And we would be at SIR rehearsing. And they would be in another room rehearsing. And I didn't realize until just the other day that Light as a Feather, Chick was playing some samba. I never heard it like that. And then to hear, because I was telling somebody, I said, now check out Flora. See, she's singing that Brazilian stuff.
Yeah.
So, no vibrato, all pure tone. Even if it goes a little out of tune, because what I want to say, American vocalists, you're gonna have you're gonna have the fluctuation, so you get the little vibrato.
Right.
So if out of tune, it's gonna bring it in, out, in, out, in, out. But those Brazilians, they were balls on. No vibrato, no nothing. And she did Spain and 500 Miles High and
those
all
are great
tunes. And man, I just got reacquainted because that was all when I was going to UCLA.
Yeah.
And because the first tune we ever played off of that album was Spain. We used to play Spain. I learned Spain. Matter of fact, Downbeat magazine had it transcribed back in the late 60s, well, early 70s. And I was like, hey, I think I'm just going to learn this, just messing around. But boy, hey, I tell you one thing, Spain ain't no joke, boy.
Stanley Clark said Chick's music is not easy to play.
No. Hey, wait a minute. Even the simple as Tone for Jones Bones and Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a waltz. It's just the most beautiful song. Chick really, and he definitely had a different harmonic approach, even though you could hear the McCoy and different influences. But hey, my favorite, the last time I seen Joe Zawinul alive, I'm hanging with Joe at Catalina's Bar and Grill. And I'm telling Joe about, when you used to, hey, Joe, when y'all did the little thing at the complex over there with Maurice and them, he went, Maurice,
Hey, Wayne, Peter Erskine was telling me, I had Peter Erskine on the show. He said Joe Zawinul was obsessed with Maurice. He loved him. He said, man, us Weather Report, we should be like them, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And of course, they did that song. Maurice told me, I actually asked Maurice, I said, that song that you did with Weather Report and then with Denise Williams, I said, how did that come about? He said, one day I was just walking down the hall and Zawinul came up to me. He said, hey, Reese, you need to sing on this. That's how that whole thing came. That's how that whole thing came about.
Well, no, because he signed them to Art Records.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I would see Jocko, because when I first seen Weather Report,
Jocko,
I was with Weather Report from the inception.
Oh, Miroslav and then
Miroslav and all of them, because they were at the Lighthouse. That's the first time I met Wayne Shorter.
Yeah.
And Wayne Shorter was he was a deep dude,
Yeah.
and we like 17, 18, and Wayne was over there. But I would run into Wayne every now and then.
Mhm.
Last time I ran into him was 2 times at like festival type things. Once with Nathan East, and then once I was just at this Brazilian thing. John Lucian's wife would do a thing at the Hollywood
Right.
Palladium every year.
Right.
And Wayne went from the Japanese to the Brazilians. And his poor baby, she got killed in that plane thing.
Right. That was 95, 96. I remember that.
Yeah, man, that hurt my heart, man. And Wayne was at the Palladium at 9:00 in the morning, walking around, and I'm walking bloop, 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 and I know the boys that's putting on. I'm up in the VIP, whatever, and I'm coming down, and I said, Wayne Shorter, what you doing here? It wasn't a Wayne Shorter crowd, for real, but he was there, kicking it on the cool, and yeah, man, those days.
Brilliant composer, man. One of the best ever.
Literally, my compositional skills I learned a lot from Herbie and stuff, but learning common tonality is from Wayne Shorter.
Wow.
My thing of all those songs that you hear, especially some of those songs like Earth, Wind, and Fire, like you would hear the harmonics change, but the melody didn't.
Right.
Oh, that would knock Maurice out. Maurice loved on some of those tunes that we would do, and he would go, "Oh man, that's bad."
Oh man, that's incredible. Hey, next name for you, Keith Jarrett.
Hey, I mean, is he Mozart, virtuoso? I don't know what to call Keith, man. Ever since Forest Flowers, Sunrise, Sunset, Charles Lloyd, Monterey Jazz Festival, and Charles, when Keith broke out with that solo, and he did one run, that was, I don't know, a phrasing of about 45-second run.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I mean, never stopped the phrase, and every note made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my musician friends, I love music. I love music today, and I love everything. But I'm not excited about music because I have heard the baddest music ever made.
Yeah.
I have witnessed the baddest music ever made. So when cats tell me about bad and stuff, it's not like, it's just like good food. People go like, "Oh man, this is great." And I said, "Yeah, but it's processed."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, y'all don't know what good food is, y'all. You don't know what good food. So as food is for my palate, music for my ear, I have heard and witnessed the baddest music ever made. And I am, unfortunately, no matter how bad anybody is, I'm at the most, "Oh, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, man. Wait. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, man. But that reminds me of this. Oh, that reminds me of that." So there's no music under the sun, no new music.
Exactly.
And as Q would tell me, "Wayne, it's only 12 notes. It's only 12 notes.
Yeah.
It's only 12 notes." So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm telling you, all I'm trying to do for the rest of whatever I'm going to be doing, I mean, I got studios. I got more than one studio. I got grand piano set. Well, the same piano you looking at, I'm looking at right here.
I know you got an acoustic bass too, my brother, don't you?
Oh yeah. Well, see, when Janice Marie at LACC, I started playing upright.
Yeah.
Now, I can kind of mess with the upright, but I can't mess with the electric at all.
Right, right. Yeah.
Only the upright. I can get on the upright and I can play just enough drums to get me in trouble. Because when we did All in the Way,
Yeah. Yeah, from The Promise. Right, right.
when we did that song, and Maurice said, "Who did this?" I said, "Oh, me, Reese." He said, "Oh, who did that?" I said, "Oh, that was me, Reese." He said, "Who was on drums?" I said, "Me." I was embarrassed because I wanted a real drummer to play.
Right.
Nobody was around as I needed the track to be finished. So I couldn't wait no longer.
Yeah.
So that's my no playing ass drums on that.
Man, you did a
Thank God.
fantastic job, man. That was
Here's the thing.
beautiful.
The drums was simple enough. And see, here's the thing. Drummers, the baddest drummers I know can't play pocket. And of course, the pocket drummers can't play what I want to hear, like an Alphonse Mouzon or something like that. I heard Alphonse play Actual Proof one night at the Roxy with Herbie. I thought he was going to break his body. He played, I was biting my palm of my hand, going crazy. It was so incredible.
Wow.
Then when they went to a simple funk tune, he was like, "What am I gonna do with this?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so my baddest jazz drummers, they weren't able to play the funk. The only one, I'm not gonna say the only, but of the old school cats who could play funk, believe it or not, Roy Haynes. Wait,
Brother will be 96 years old next month and he's still playing.
He's 96?
He'll be 96 in March and he's still playing, man.
I saw Roy Haynes at Royce Hall at UCLA
Yeah.
with Alice Coltrane. And guess what? I didn't listen to none of the musicians on stage except Roy. I tuned out all the musicians and only listened to the drums. That's how bad Roy Haynes was. And the thing about it was, I was shocked how funky he was.
Yeah.
I was blown away. Now, you know he got all the straight ahead chops. I mean, here's the thing. Once you do straight ahead and do all that, once I do like 3 straight ahead tunes, not saying I'm bored, but you got to go to the funk. I mean, because each theme is the truth.
Yeah.
Funk is blues, as jazz to gospel to all that stuff is intertwined.
Yeah,
but
man.
If it ain't funky, it's like
it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing, brother.
And swing is funk.
Yeah.
That's the cool part about it. That's why Horace Silver, Jody Grind, Henderson, Lycra 2, all those tunes, those songs were, that's why Joe Henderson, he was the most cliche-ish saxophonist ever. But I tell you one thing, you know when Joe Henderson put that sax in his mouth, I hear 3 notes. That's Joe Henderson. That's signature.
That signature sound, man, exactly.
All my boys, see, all my little young kids now, I got Ronald Bruner to Ronald Bruner Jr.
Yeah.
I call one Broom and one Broom June. Broom June didn't play with everybody and they mama now. But the daddy did too.
Yeah.
Okay, the daddy was one of my young boys. But then you got Ricky Washington, sax flautist from Fremont High, whose son is Kamasi Washington. And those were the kids that was coming up. You got the Terrace Martins. You got all these young kids that my daughters, like Wendy and all of them, they were friends with Brian McKnight's and Julie's McKnight's kids.
Yeah.
All those, so all the young kids all come through here now.
Yeah. That's
All
beautiful,
country
man.
here. So,
Hey, brother, listen, I know you got to be rolling soon. I got two more names for you. The next one is George Duke.
the funk master.
Yeah.
Wait, as jazzy as George is, and I say is because that baby left me too. Last time I seen him at the Hollywood Bowl, right when I knew something was going on, because his suit was twice as big as he was. And it was probably right when he didn't even realize he was there. He had lost all that weight. But that was the funkiest boy. And his approach, he's a great piano player.
Yeah.
But when you jump on a synthesizer, that ain't a piano.
Right.
Synthesizer.
Right.
So you don't play synthesizer like piano, which 98% of all piano players play synthesizer like piano. Okay? So Chick Corea, Joe Zawinul, they had their own approach, which was great, and they played some bad synthesizer. Jan Hammer, he's probably like in the George Duke, but George Duke, for the stupidity of synthesizer, he's the poster child. So George Duke, synthesizer, piano, of course, but don't forget, that's Duke on Bad Mama Jamma.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Hold on. If anybody want to say out of all the bad stuff, he played with Miles, he did all of his stuff, he did Cannonball Adderley. But if you want to hear George Duke, just go pull up Bad Mama Jamma.
Bad Mama Jamma.
You'll go, wait a minute. That's the same cat that did this?
Right.
And that's how you collateralize.
Yeah.
Usually cats stay in one genre and that's where they are. Duke, he like what Ghostbusters? Don't cross the fields. Yeah,
man. Definitely.
Guy, man.
George is a back cat. We're going to do one more. Bernie Worrell.
Ho, ho! I kind of feel bad. You know, of course he was out there with us, but the last time I seen Bernie at NAMM show, and he had his band from Cincinnati, and they were playing in Santa Ana. I had to drive back home to Glendale. And once I got back here from Anaheim, me and my, older self was like, oh man, I can't drive back to San. And that would have been the last time I'd have seen Bernie.
Yeah.
And we hung out that day, and Bernie, whatever I said about Baby George, then Bernie is the cayenne pepper on top of that. Okay? Because back in 76, 77, we were out there with Parliament, and that's when I met Bernie and Fred Wesley and Maceo and Cush and Glenn Groins and all the boys, Bootsy, Mudbone, Catfish. Bernie, one night, they were playing some stuff, and Bernie's harmonic concept, not the funk on everything you know.
Right.
His harmonic concept, that mofo sound like Keith Jarrett.
Really?
Hold on. Bernie was 3 times, 4 times better than anybody knew. He would tell me, now Wayne, man, I ain't got that right hand like you, but I got this thing though. And his, like, can I?
Yeah.
This is literally his thing, what he was doing. And yeah, Bernie was, if he wasn't a genius, he was an unsung genius, because maybe from a chop wise thing, and that's the next thing we as musicians, we go into sometimes how many notes a mofo can play.
Yeah.
You know, no, how much space you don't, how much you don't play, how much you can lay it and then get out the way of what you just laid.
Right.
But you gotta just, all the time. No. Bernie, for some cats that really don't know him, they need to go back and do a little, what's the word when we do a little transcription of him. That's what we used to do, transcribe solos, like when Wayne Shorter came out with Night Dreamer, and McCoy. Dun, dun,
yeah.
Boy, hey, look, Bernie was all in there. So it's a trip. All the cats that you asked about were like 1 or 2 degrees from each other, no matter if they were different things. So it's not one cat, because we can go back and you can go get Cedar Walton. And
man.
Because, I mean, look, Cedar Walton had to be a baby genius. Okay? Cedar, go listen to Claire Fisher's Pensativa solo on Art Blakey and the Jazz Messenger. Okay? Pensativa, I think that was Freddie on that. I think that was Wayne Shorter on that. Curtis Fuller. And I don't know who was on bass, Art. But listen to Cedar Walton's solo.
Cedar was a bad cat, man. Great cat.
It was like that was not written out. It's almost like a perfect solo. A one taker. Lord have mercy. So yeah, man. So we got cats that I love and admire that I can never live up to what they did. I can only do what I do. And I am just here to be a contributor. And, it's just like that, man. Music is like food. It's the same thing.
Wayne, are you down with the avant-garde? You like pianists like Cecil Taylor? Do you like Sun Ra? Artists like that?
Yeah, wait. Oh my God. Here's the thing. Cecil Taylor and Archie Shepp. Come on, baby.
Albert Eiler.
Yes. Oh, come on, Albert. Oh, man, listen. Joe Henderson loved this song called Lazy Afternoon.
Lazy Afternoon. I know that one.
Well, the first time it was recorded that I know of probably was Cecil Taylor and Archie Shepp.
Ooh.
And what I didn't know, Joe Henderson is a derivative of Archie Shepp.
That I did not know. Wow.
Check out Archie Shepp on Lazy Afternoon with Cecil Taylor, and you're gonna go, because I used to always go, well, where did he come from? How did he get to this? Well, Archie Shepp, I mean, it's like, come on, Eric Dolphy.
Oh man.
Let me tell you something, man. I've forgotten more music than I know. Literally. And if I go into my classical world and put all of that stuff together, I'm just a derivative of my life experience. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all anybody can be when we regurgitate what we know. That's all we can do.
Oh, man, that's incredible. You and I may have to do a part 2, man. There's just so much. This is a fascinating conversation, man. And wow, I love you, brother. Hey, man, listen, hang on. I'm about to close out the show.
Okay, man.
Well, you've heard it from the great Wayne Vaughn. And as the saying goes, if the music grooves and makes you move, it must be jazz. I'm Preston Williams with Jazz Talk signing off. Peace.